In October 1971, a psychedelic educational show hit PBS with sketch comedy, cartoon superheroes, and a future Oscar winner nobody had heard of yet. Here are 10 wild facts you didn't know about the Electric Company. Fact 10. The title was originally The Eclectic Company. The show we all remember as The Electric Company almost had a completely different name. The original working title was The Eclectic Company, chosen because the creators planned to use a wide variety of characters, skits, and teaching techniques to help kids learn to read. The word eclectic perfectly described their approach. They were pulling from everything imaginable to make reading fun and engaging. Somewhere during development, someone had the brilliant idea to change the name to The Electric Company. The new title worked on multiple levels. It referenced electricity and power, which fit perfectly with the show's energy and the light bulb imagery they used throughout. The name also suggested that literacy itself was a kind of power source that could light up a child's world and enable them to understand knowledge. The theme song emphasized this concept with its energetic promise to turn on the power and bring it to viewers. That simple name change transformed the show's identity from something academic-sounding into something dynamic and exciting that kids actually wanted to watch. The opening sequence featured psychedelic graphics and images of electrical circuits and light bulbs, all designed to grab attention and make the show feel modern and hip, rather than educational and boring. The creators understood that children in the early 70s were growing up with color television, rock music, and fast-paced entertainment. If they wanted to compete for kids' attention, they needed to match that energy while still delivering solid educational content. The name Electric Company captured that balance perfectly. It promised power, excitement, and energy, while still suggesting an organized company of performers working together toward a common goal. Fact 9. They spent 18 months researching before filming. The Electric Company didn't just throw some sketches together and hope for the best. The Children's Television Workshop spent a full 18 months doing research and developing the show before a single episode aired. This kind of extensive preparation was revolutionary for educational television in 1971. Barbara Fowles, who was part of the research team, later explained that most people back then thought using television to teach kids to read was completely wrong. Teachers especially distrusted television and saw it as harmful rather than helpful. The research team had to prove that the medium could actually work for reading instruction. They brought together television writers and producers, reading experts, and academic advisors to create a program based on solid educational principles rather than guesswork. The show targeted children ages 7 to 10 who had graduated from Sesame Street but still needed help with their reading skills. Government estimates at the time showed that illiteracy was a problem for as many as 1 out of 10 Americans, with millions more considered functional illiterates who struggled with basic reading tasks. The research team knew they were addressing a real crisis, and they wanted to get it right from the start. Joan Gans Cooney, the co-creator of the show, wrote in 1976 that few of the experts even agreed on how to teach reading in the classroom under ideal circumstances, let alone through a television screen. The segments used a lot of phonics, teaching the sounds of letters and the relationship between printed letters and sounds. Fowles was in graduate school studying developmental psycholinguistics when she was hired to work on the Electric Company, bringing cutting-edge academic research to a medium that many educators still viewed with suspicion. The show's success helped prove that television could be a legitimate educational tool when used properly and designed with real pedagogical goals in mind. Fact 8. Morgan Freeman was a complete unknown. When the Electric Company premiered, Morgan Freeman was just another working actor trying to make a living in New York theater. He had done stage work and earned some critical praise, but nobody outside theatrical circles knew his name. The show gave him steady work for 6 years, playing a variety of memorable characters that showcased his range and charisma. Freeman created Easy Reader, the coolest character on educational television. Easy Reader was a laid-back hipster in sunglasses and colorful clothes who loved reading everything he could find, from cereal boxes to street signs. The character made reading look effortless and fun rather than difficult and boring. Freeman also played Count Dracula, Mel Mounds, the groovy DJ, and dozens of other roles across the show's run. Despite appearing in 780 episodes between 1971 and 1977, Freeman felt his career was somewhat stuck. He later admitted that while the electric company provided steady income, it wasn't advancing him toward his real goal of appearing in major films. The stage work he continued doing on the side earned him Drama Desk and Tony Award nominations, but Hollywood remained frustratingly out of reach. It would take years before Freeman finally broke through to movie stardom, but a whole generation of children grew up watching him every day on PBS. Many adults today remember the strange experience of seeing Freeman in a major motion picture for the first time and feeling like they recognized him from somewhere, but couldn't quite place where. That nagging familiarity came from hundreds of hours spent watching him teach reading skills through sketch comedy. Freeman himself has tried to distance himself from the show over the years, perhaps because he wants to be known for his dramatic film work rather than educational television. But for millions of viewers who came of age in the 70s, Morgan Freeman will always be easy reader first and a serious actor second. Fact 7. Bill Cosby only lasted 2 seasons. Bill Cosby was already a huge television star when he joined the Electric Company's original cast in 1971. He had starred in the groundbreaking series I Spy, making history as the first African-American to co-star in a dramatic television series, and created the animated series Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids. His presence gave the new show instant credibility and star power that helped attract viewers. Cosby appeared as the character Hank and participated in ensemble pieces throughout the first 2 seasons. Then he left. The show continued producing episodes for 4 more years, but Cosby's material from those first 2 seasons was reused in later episodes, making it seem like he was still part of the cast even after his departure. This practice of recycling segments came directly from Sesame Street, which had pioneered the technique of building a library of reusable educational content. Viewers watching in the mid-70s might have seen Cosby in sketches filmed years earlier, mixed in with new material featuring the current cast. The recycling strategy made sense economically and educationally since the reading lessons didn't become outdated. It's particularly odd to watch those first season episodes now and see Cosby performing alongside the ensemble, knowing that he would later become one of the most controversial figures in television history. The show's use of ensemble comedy meant that no single performer was indispensable, which allowed the Electric Company to continue successfully for 4 more seasons after both Cosby and Lee Chamberlain had departed. Fact 6. Marvel gave them Spider-Man for free. In 1974, the Electric Company introduced a recurring feature that became one of its most popular attractions. Spider-Man started appearing in short segments called Spidey Super Stories, and Marvel Comics didn't charge the Children's Television Workshop a single penny for the rights. Marvel simply gave them permission to use one of their most valuable characters at no cost. The partnership made perfect sense for both parties. Marvel got to introduce their character to millions of young viewers on public television, building brand recognition with a whole new audience. The show got a built-in superhero that kids already loved, which helped them teach reading in an entertaining way. This Spider-Man was played by puppeteer and dancer Danny Seagren, who always remained in full costume and never spoke out loud. Instead, Spider-Man communicated through cartoon thought bubbles that appeared on screen, encouraging children to read his dialogue. The segments featured low-budget charm, with comic book panels interspersed throughout each story because PBS couldn't afford actual special effects. Spider-Man's web shooting was added in post-production, and the villains he fought had names like the Funny Bunny, Mr. Measles, the Birthday Bandit, and the Prankster. These were not the dangerous criminals Spider-Man battled in the comics. These were silly characters who committed minor offenses that even a child could understand, mostly harassment, larceny, or just being annoying. Seagren had been working for Jim Henson with the Muppets when he heard that the Electric Company was looking for someone to play the web slinger. The producers had apparently seen some muscle men audition for the part, but those guys couldn't move with the agility the role required. Segren's background in dance gave him the athletic ability to make Spider-Man's movements look believable, even without expensive special effects. He appeared in about 36 episodes during his nearly 400-episode stint on the show from 1974 to 1977, making him the first person ever to play Spider-Man in live action, 3 years before Nicholas Hammond would don the costume for the Amazing Spider-Man television series. Fact 5. The Spidey comic book lasted 8 years. To commemorate the partnership between Marvel Comics and the Children's Television Workshop, Marvel launched a special comic book series in 1974 called Spidey Super Stories. The comic was aimed at children ages 6 to 10 and designed to be easy to read, with simpler vocabulary and sentence structure than regular Marvel comics. The series ran for an impressive 57 issues, continuing until 1982, a full 5 years after the Electric Company stopped producing new episodes. John Thomas wrote the first 15 issues, and Jim Salicrup took over as the series writer for most of the run. Win Mortimer drew the majority of the issues, while legendary Spider-Man artist John Romita Sr. served as editor and drew some of the covers. Thomas and Salicrup later remarked that the comic was subject to exceptionally high levels of editorial scrutiny. Staff from both Marvel Comics and the Children's Television Workshop reviewed every story to ensure they were faithful to both the Electric Company cast and Marvel's characters, featured age-appropriate content and reading level, and gave significant roles to female characters. Each issue included at least one story where Spider-Man teamed up with an established Marvel superhero or fought a famous Marvel villain. This served to introduce other Marvel characters to new readers who only knew Spider-Man from television. Guest heroes included Iron Man, Captain America, Doctor Strange, and Ms. Marvel. Villains included the Green Goblin, Doctor Doom, and even the cosmic threat, Thanos. Some stories featured regular characters from the Electric Company television show, including Easy Reader and Detective Fargo North Decoder, with Spider-Man appearing as a supporting character. The comic also featured Peter Parker's girlfriend Mary Jane Watson and Daily Bugle employees, including publisher J. Jonah Jameson, giving young readers a taste of the wider Spider-Man universe. The early issues included comic book versions of actual Spidey Super Stories skits from the television show, creating a direct connection between the two media. A truncated version of these comics also appeared in the Electric Company magazine. The covers were often quite clever, including a memorable illustration of Spider-Man holding up a lightsaber like Luke Skywalker, with Doctor Doom standing in for Darth Vader. Fact 4. Irene Cara started on the Short Circus. The Electric Company featured a musical group called the Short Circus, a clever pun on the term short circuit that related back to the show's electrical theme. The band consisted of 5 young performers between the ages of 11 and 17 who sang educational songs throughout each episode. Most of their performances were introduced by Mel Mounds, the groovy DJ character played by Morgan Freeman, who always described them with his signature phrase about being righteous, brighteous, and way out of sighteous. June Angela was the only Short Circus member who stayed with the show for all 6 seasons, from 1971 to 1977. The other members rotated in and out over the years, with each one lasting anywhere from 1 to 4 seasons. During the first season, one of those young singers was a 12-year-old girl named Irene Cara. She appeared as Iris, playing keyboards and piano for the group. Cara only lasted 1 season before leaving the show, but the Electric Company gave her valuable experience performing on national television. She went on to study music, acting, and dance, building the skills that would eventually make her a star. Before her breakthrough in fame, Cara appeared in the 1976 film Sparkle, playing the title character Sparkle Williams. She also earned critical acclaim for dramatic roles in the television miniseries Roots, The Next Generations, and Guyana Tragedy, The Story of Jim Jones. In 1980, she landed the role of Coco Hernandez in the film Fame and recorded the title song, which became a #1 hit in several countries. 3 years later, she co-wrote and sang Flashdance What a Feeling, which won her an Academy Award for Best Original Song and a Grammy Award for Best Female Pop Vocal Performance. Every time that song played on the radio or at weddings and parties throughout the 80s, former Electric Company fans could think back to that little girl in the short circus. Cara passed away in November 2022 at the age of 63, but her work continues to inspire new generations of performers. Fact 3. Denise Nickerson went from Wonka to the short circus. When Irene Cara left the short circus after the first season, the show needed someone to replace her. They found Denise Nickerson, who had recently become famous playing Violet Beauregard in the 1971 film Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Nickerson was the spoiled, gum-chewing girl who turned into a giant blueberry after disobeying Wonka's warnings. The role made her recognizable to children across America. She had also appeared on the ABC daytime soap opera Dark Shadows, where she played a young witch, giving her even more television experience. Nickerson joined the short circus as Allison and played guitar for the group during the show's second season. She brought the same energy and confidence to the musical numbers that she had shown in Willy Wonka, though this time without turning blue. Like Cara before her, Nickerson only stayed for a single season. The rotating cast of the short circus meant that children watching the show over multiple years would see different young performers taking on the musical duties. This kept the group feeling fresh and gave opportunities to multiple talented kids who might otherwise never have appeared on national television. The turnover also meant the show could adjust to changing musical tastes and styles as the 70s progressed. Other members who cycled through the short circus included dancer Greg Burge and Broadway actress Bane Johnson, who joined for seasons 3 and 4. For the final 2 seasons, an entirely new short circus was cast, bringing in Todd Graff, Rodney Lewis, Rajan Magloire, and Janina Matthews. Todd Graff was the brother of actress Eileen Graff, who later became known for playing Maggie Seaver on the sitcom Growing Pains. The constant rotation meant that the short circus always featured age-appropriate performers who could relate to the target audience of elementary school children. Fact 2. Tom Lehrer wrote some of the songs. The Electric Company had some of the best musical talent in the business, creating its educational songs. Tom Lehrer, the famous satirist and pianist known for his clever and often controversial songs, wrote 10 songs for the series. 2 of those songs became particularly famous, Silent E and Ly. These weren't just throwaway jingles. They were carefully crafted pieces that taught grammar concepts through catchy melodies and clever wordplay. Silent E explained how adding a silent E to the end of a word changes the vowel sound, turning words like mad into made or cap into cape. The song became so popular that Lehrer included it as a bonus track when his second live album was released on CD. The boxed set, The Remains of Tom Lehrer, included 5 songs from the Electric Company, demonstrating how proud Lehrer was of his work on the show. Gary William Freeman, who had written the music for the hit Broadway rock opera The Me Nobody Knows, served as music director and composer for the 4th season. He went on to compose music for an additional 260 episodes and wrote about 40 songs total, including the popular Spider-Man theme song. Joe Raposo, who had already made his mark on Sesame Street with songs like Bein' Green and Sing, also contributed music to the Electric Company. The show attracted this level of musical talent because the creators understood that songs were one of the most effective ways to make educational content stick in children's minds. Fact 1. They produced 780 episodes over 6 seasons. The Electric Company ran from October 25, 1971 to April 15, 1977, producing exactly 780 episodes during that time. That breaks down to a remarkable 130 episodes per season for 6 consecutive seasons. The show aired on more than 250 public television stations across the country and became a teaching tool in thousands of elementary school classrooms nationwide. The final 2 seasons were numbered differently than the first 4. Seasons 1 through 4 were numbered 1 through 520. Season 5 used the designation 1A through 130A, while Season 6 used 1B through 130B. This special numbering system existed because those final 2 seasons were specifically designed as year-long curricula for schools. Teachers could use them as complete teaching programs rather than just supplementary material. After the final episode aired in April 1977, the show continued running in reruns until October 4, 1985. That means children were watching The Electric Company on PBS for a total of 14 years, introducing multiple generations of kids to reading through the same beloved characters and sketches. The show later reran on Noggin, a cable channel co-founded by the Children's Television Workshop from 1999 to 2003. When DVD releases became popular in the 2000s, 2 boxed sets were released featuring the best episodes from across all 6 seasons. The overwhelming success of those DVDs proved that even decades later, people still remembered the show fondly and wanted to share it with a new generation. The first boxed set sold so well that it surprised everyone involved with the release. Cast members Luis Avalos, Jim Boyd, Judy Graubart, Skip Hinnant, and Hattie Winston provided commentary for the second volume, released in November 2006, reflecting on their years working on the show. The Electric Company won 2 Emmy Awards during its original run, and its soundtrack album even earned a Grammy nomination. Rita Moreno, who had already won an Academy Award before joining the cast, later reflected that she always saw The Electric Company as community service on her part. The show represented a wonderful experiment in using entertainment to educate, and that experiment succeeded beyond anyone's expectations. If you enjoyed learning these wild facts about The Electric Company, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into your favorite classic television shows. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.